Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I hope everybody is doing well tonight. This is going to be episode 2 of our, we'll call it our unsolved live streams. I think I'm going to try to do this at least once a month, maybe twice, like every other Thursday, just to go over, because for the most part, we cover missing persons cases here, but I do like to bring awareness to unfortunately, there are a whole lot of unsolved homicide cold cases out there. So I like to try to bring attention to those too. And you probably saw just before I forget, I did put a little disclaimer up there. All the homicides we're going to be talking about tonight involves minors, little ones. I think the youngest is 9 or 10 and the oldest is 15. So I know, of course, every homicide is hard to deal with, but when it comes to younger people, it's just, I know they can trigger some people, obviously, understandably. So I just want to give that warning beforehand. So if you don't feel like you can stick around, no problem. I completely understand, but I do feel like these cases are important. Absolutely, they do need to be talked about. So we will make our way through them to help bring awareness to them. And all the cases tonight come from solvethecase.org. I go through there and just randomly just look at cases, and it just so happened that these cases we're going to talk about tonight that I'd saved in my browser were all younger folks. So anyway, let's see who is here. So welcome, anybody who's new here, welcome. Welcome to members, subscribers, welcome to everybody. Like I said, I hope everybody is staying cool, staying hydrated. It's hot here in Arkansas. That's to be expected. So, but Miss Doodle was in first. Hello, ma'am. Arctic was in second. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Miss Paula was in third. Hello. I can't talk as usual. Hello, Miss Paula. Oh, of course, Echoes. Echoes is already yawning. You better watch out. Miss Doodle if she's back, she may put you in timeout early. Oh, Echoes is back at work. All right. He must be bored at work. And he has a crown. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the crown thing on the YouTube side of it, because I don't see it on see it on StreamYard side. But I've noticed when I've been in other chats and other live streams, there's like they have like little crowns with numbers now or something. I don't know. Guess it has to do with the comments or how many times you comment. Who knows? It's YouTube. But anyway, Michigan Wifey is here. Hello, hello. She says, "Hey y'all, my old bud is still awake. Yay." Yeah. Mine too. Mine too. Maybe not for very much longer after we get done with this, but I understand. Yeah. All right. Make sure I didn't skip anything. Everything keeps jumping on me. Yeah, Miss Doodle is back. There she is. Hello, hello again. Chris is here. Hello, Chris. Good to see you. Always good to see Chris. Absolutely. Miss Doodle says, in case no one has told you all today, you matter. Absolutely. Could not have said it better myself. Absolutely, everybody. Oh, you lost your crown? You got to start commenting more. I think that's how it does it. I don't know. I don't know what it's based on, but oh no, it says Chow. Why is he leaving? Oh goodness. Echoes is always causing problems. I'm kidding. There we go. Arctic's got it figured out. He says, guess YouTube merged with Burger King, hence the crowns. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Oh, Miss Lisa Joe is here. Our Spice Girl is here. Hello, ma'am. Good to see you. The bears. Are you talking about my bears? Echo says, I'm also watching the bear. Oh, never mind. At a national park. Never mind. I thought you were talking football there for a minute. My bad. But he's also watching the bears at Katmai National Park. Excellent. Excellent. All right. I think we are caught up. So we will get started. So once again, it is on the crawler underneath, but for anybody just coming in, the cases we're going to be talking about are of younger persons, younger people. So just, trigger warning. But like I said earlier, absolutely important to bring awareness to these cases. So did I forget to load my slideshow? Oh goodness, hold on. Let me find my slideshow. I thought I already had it on here. There it is. Okay. So I think, yeah, we have 7 that we're going to talk about tonight. And I think I was able to, I said the basic information comes from solvethecase.org. I think I was able to find some extra articles on all of them, except for maybe the last 2. The link to solvethecase.org and all the articles I use are in the description box. So feel free to read them if you wish. What are you talking about, trout now? What? Now Echo says, or are they trout? Oh, you're talking about salmon. Okay, Echo says that salmon season, so they're catching fish at the falls. Oh, cool. Or trout. Excellent. Okay. What are you watching that on? I would love to watch that. I love to watch animal videos. Anyway, we'll get to the business at hand. All right. So first we have Georgia Jane Cruz. Sorry, I've got a gnat flying around me. She was just 12 years old at the time of her homicide. And this is from Fern Park, Florida, from April of 1980. So first, we'll start out with the basic information from Solve the Case. Georgia was last seen leaving her house on Highland Avenue in Montverde, Florida on April 8th, 1980. She told her 2 older brothers that she planned to walk to the Shop and Go convenience store located on County Road 455. She was going to get a snack. She was going to settle down, watch some of her favorite TV shows. Georgia never made it to the store. She never returned home. About 30 to 45 minutes went by before her older brothers began searching for her. They called around to the neighbors and her friends to see if she happened to be at a friend's house or if anybody had seen her. Their mother actually owned the convenience store that Georgia was walking to when she left, and her father was a commercial fisherman. So at the time that she disappeared, her mother wasn't working at the store. Her parents were out on a nearby lake checking out their fishing equipment. So before midnight or by midnight, a search involving over 100 people had begun, but the only clues they found were footprints in the sand that just stopped abruptly. So, of course, police believe that she was likely abducted or entered a vehicle at that point. So 2 days after Georgia went missing, an unknown man contacted the Lake County Sheriff's Office and said, quote, "Hello, that girl that you're looking for, the 12-year-old, she's deceased." He didn't use that word, and then hung up. So, and apparently there's no, I don't know if it's not available anymore or if it got erased somehow, but the actual recording is not available. They just have the transcript of it. So this caller has never been identified, and it says only the transcript for the call is available. So on April 16th, which was 8 days later of 1980, a family was walking through the woods behind the Fern Park Shopping Center in Fern Park, which is in Seminole County, Florida, when they made a horrible discovery. They were walking on the path as it was a shortcut between their apartment complex and the Kmart, a store that was in that shopping center. So while walking, they did notice an odor. They went to investigate the source, and eventually they found the body of a young girl lying face up in the bushes. Of course, they called the police. The body was quickly identified as belonging to Georgia via dental records. And while no exact COD could be determined, police were able to determine that it was a homicide. She did have stab wounds in her back, and she did show signs of strangulation. So this was obviously, it says that indications that she was brutally assaulted, and then her life was taken. So Georgia was fully clothed, but her pants were slightly undone, indicating that she might have been, her life might have been taken during the course of an SA attack. Georgia was known to wear a gold chain with a small cross pendant around her neck. When she was found, she was wearing a silver cross necklace that appeared to be homemade out of the parts of a motorcycle. So if you want to see that picture, I was going to upload the picture and show it, and I forgot to. But I think it's one of the articles I'm going to read from in her case. It does have a picture of the actual cross that they found on her, what it looks like. Lost my place. So apparently when they found this cross that she was wearing, one of her friends told investigators that the necklace belonged to Georgia. But detectives have since confirmed that the necklace did not belong to her. So I'm interested. It would be interesting to know why this friend of hers said that the cross belonged to her when it obviously didn't. So none of her family recognized the necklace, the cross necklace, the silver one. It is believed that the necklace belonged to whoever was responsible for Georgia's abduction and homicide. So obviously we have the 911 call, very important, and then we have this cross that they came to find out does not belong to Georgia. So hopefully, and I think one of the articles I read, they were going to try to do DNA testing on the cross to see if they could get anything off of it. So no arrests have been made in Georgia's case, and obviously it remains unsolved. So let me go ahead and hopefully they have a phone number. So the Seminole County Sheriff's Office is the jurisdiction in charge of Georgia's case. That's one thing about solvethecase.org. It doesn't have the phone number on these. You have to go to a different page. So if you have any information on Georgia's case, you can call the Seminole County Sheriff's Office at 407-665-6600. Let me get, just in case, hopefully it won't take the articles too long to load tonight. Let me check comments while it's loading. See if anybody snuck in on me. Welcome, the forgotten artist. Good to see you. New name to me, unless it's somebody who's changed their name, which happens, and sometimes I don't catch it, because sometimes most of the time I have to look at the avatar, and I'll recognize the avatar of who it is, but on my little computer screen, sometimes it is hard to see. But welcome. Thank you for being here. Good to have you here. Yeah, Georgia's case is just, all of these cases, like I said, it's going to be, I debated for a long time on whether or not to do, like I said, these cases are absolutely important. They need to be talked about. More awareness needs to be brought to them. It's just so hard with the kids. So hard with the kids. All right, let me see if the article's loaded. Not yet. There it goes. Okay. So this article is from December of 2012. It's from clickorlando.com. New evidence emerges in cold case disappearance and homicide. I believe it does have some statements from her family in here too. So it says, sunlight was starting to fade on April 8, 1980, when 12-year-old Georgia Jane Cruz walked out of her Montverde home on Highland Avenue and disappeared. Her older brother, Tony, who was 16 at the time, thought that she was simply heading down the street to the market on the local county road, or possibly to her best friend's house a few blocks away. But what happened in those few short blocks remains a mystery. Georgia's mother, Linda, says she's never really done anything like that. That's something we could not understand. Linda and her husband, Michael, now live in Wellborn, which is 2 hours north of the Lake County town where Georgia disappeared from. They'll never forget the night they returned home from work to find their sons, Tony and Charles, who were then 14, desperately searching the streets and calling for their little sister. They knew that she would never willingly stay out after dark. So I don't know if I mentioned it in this article, but I did read a few articles, and I believe it said that Georgia was very afraid of the dark and just absolutely would not be outside in the dark by herself willingly. So the Amber Alert system was still 20 years away from being established in Florida, but it's such a small town world of Georgia. Can't read. But in such a small town, word of Georgia's disappearance traveled fast. By midnight, hundreds of friends and neighbors had joined the Cruz family in the search, trampling any possible evidence with their good intentions. By the next morning, the media had descended on the quiet town of Montverde, broadcasting and publishing photographs of the smiling fifth graders, big brown eyes, and long blonde hair. Deputies cased the town. This is very poorly written. So I think they meant deputies searched the town overhead from a helicopter. They combed the grounds with tracking dogs. They rummaged through the orange groves on horseback, and they even dragged the bottom of Lake Florence, which is near the home, Georgia's home. Michael Cruz said, we went for 3 days without sleep. I was looking everywhere in the world we thought that she could be. The anxiety the family felt the night before had given way to full-blown panic, which would eventually spiral into cold dread. They didn't know at the time that those feelings were only the beginning of what will become a lifelong strain of unanswered questions that would weigh heavily on their hearts. I can't imagine. Georgia's mother, Linda, says, why would anybody want to hurt a little girl? Absolutely. It's a question Linda has asked herself almost every day for the past 32 years. It's longer than that now. Like I said, this article, I think, is from 2012. It appeared the only things that Georgia left behind were a trail of small prints of her bare feet in the dirt road and her beloved dog, Tiger. During the search, the pup sat at the crossroad just down the street from the Cruz home, refusing to move, as if telling the family that is where he last saw her. In fact, every morning after Georgia disappeared, Tiger would run back out to the crossroads and sit there waiting for her to return. Tony or Charles, one of her brothers, would have to go get him at nightfall, bring him back home. Mysteriously, 3 weeks after Georgia disappeared, Tiger disappeared as well. And the family still has no idea what happened to Tiger, to the dog. So Local 6 has now learned that just 2 days after Georgia vanished, the Lake County Sheriff's Office received a disturbing anonymous phone call from a man. What I read earlier, the transcript is the only thing they have. They said, hello, yeah, you know that girl that you're looking for? Yeah, the 12-year-old. Yeah, she's deceased. The recording of that phone call has since been lost, and the man has never been identified. 6 days after that call, on April 16th, Georgia's body was discovered in Castleberry, which is in Seminole County, 30 miles away from her home. So that's a pretty good amount of miles that somebody took her. Once again, she had been stabbed in the back. Her body had been dumped in a wooded walk-through area behind what was then a Kmart. She was still dressed in the remains of the jeans and tank top that she had sewn herself in her 4-H club. You can just imagine the condition of the body. I'm just going to try to be as non-graphic and as sensitive as I can with this, but she could only be identified through medical and dental records. There was no evidence of SA, leaving very little, if any, DNA evidence for future technology to analyze. The search for Georgia was over, but the search for her offender was just beginning. Each day that passed without an arrest chipped away at Montverde's middle America mentality of unlocked doors and unsupervised children. Yeah, because this was back in, 1980? I mean, of course, we lived in a small town. I've said it before, but I mean, nobody locked their doors, no, didn't lock the doors to the house, didn't lock their car doors. The kids could be out, playing outside by themselves, walk to a friend's house, and, you just didn't think twice about it. So detectives, having trouble tonight, interviewed dozens and dozens of neighbors, but no one saw anything unusual that week, which in a town of only 300 or so people, so that's a very, very small town, was rather unusual in and of itself. Surely someone would have noticed an outside vehicle or a new face in the town, but no one did, leaving many to speculate that the offender was a seemingly friendly face that lived among them. Detective Adrian Youngblood says this is basically a book of names that have come up during the investigation. He was flipping through a 3-ring binder. It is bulging with background checks, mugshots, side notes from previous detectives detailing a long list of possible suspects that mostly led to dead ends, unfortunately. The binder is just one of 8 binders that make up a mountain of information that investigators with Seminole County's Major Crimes Unit are now digging through as they join the growing list of detectives who, over the years, have reopened the cold case of Georgia Cruz. Detective Robert James said, somebody saw something about this little girl. Somebody knows what happened to this little girl. Somebody said something to somebody, and that's what we need out there. Absolutely. I always say, if you know something, say something. If you saw something or see something, say something. In a town of 300 people, because our town is just a little less than, I think, 2,000. And yeah, you notice people that, that don't, I'm not going to say don't belong there, but people that don't live there, don't visit there regularly. So in a town of almost 2,000, if we notice it, then you can almost bet that in a town of just 300 people, somebody's going to notice something. If it was a stranger or a strange vehicle, or even if it wasn't a stranger, if it was somebody in the town, somebody had to see something. In my opinion. So it's a difficult task because in the 32 years since Georgia's homicide, many of the original detectives have passed away, witnesses have moved away, and memories of a seemingly unforgettable homicide still tend to fade. Even the area where Georgia's body was found is now buried under a new layer of trees and shrubs. The neighborhood where she grew up has been redeveloped to the point where it is not even recognizable. However, with every fresh set of eyes comes a different perspective, and this time around, new information has been discovered. It centers around a necklace that Georgia was wearing when her body was found. It appears to be a homemade cross, possibly constructed from parts of a motorcycle. At the time, a friend told detectives that the necklace belonged to Georgia, but during recent interviews, Detective James learned that it did not, and it is a lead that was never followed up on. So first, I want to know, once again, why would this friend say that it was Georgia's? I mean, I can't tell you, every single necklace that every friend I have wears, but she said that I think it said that she was known to wear just a regular gold cross, and this was like completely different, so. And then I want to know, obviously, why they didn't follow up on that lead when they found out, or at that time when they found out that it did not belong to her. Once again, this is just all my opinions, all my thoughts. Detective James says we need to find ownership of the cross. It was not hers. Her mother, Linda, says it's not something you see every day. She and her husband have been studying photos of the necklace, memorizing every cut and curve. I believe it's her mom still talking, says it's not something you would walk out and go to the jewelry store or Walmart and find. It belonged to somebody, and either that person was there when she was abducted, or that person is the one who abducted and took her life. So once again, if you have any information on Georgia's case, you can contact the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. I gave you the number earlier, or you can also remain anonymous through their crime line at 1-800-423-TIPS. Let me see if that was the only article I had for Georgia. Yep. All right. So just horrible, horrible case. Get the next one loading. See what you guys are saying. Turn my camera off for a minute. Get me a drink. See where I was at here. Okay. Oops, I went back too far. Okay. That is a good question. Chris says, could the necklace be tied to another victim? Anything's possible. Anything's possible. It's either from another victim, or it could be like what her mom said. I mean, and the detectives. If it's not Georgia's, whose is it? It could belong to somebody who was there, to the offender. It could have been more. We don't know if it was one offender or more. But yeah, possible. Echo says he's surrounded by idiots. I hope you're talking about at work. Arctic says possible, but if that's the case, why mislead authorities into thinking it was Georgia's? Yeah. See, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand why the friend would say, I mean, because, she was, 12 years old. So at 12 years old, I didn't have a lot of jewelry. I don't even think I was wearing jewelry yet when I was 12. I mean, maybe a little cute little necklace or something. So yeah, for the whoever, whatever the friend, and I think in other articles that I read, the family, or maybe not the family, but definitely law enforcement questioned the fact that why did this friend, which as far as I could find was never publicly named, why would they say it was hers? It didn't say if it was male, female, friend, or what. But yeah. Oh, thank you for clarifying. There's Miss PJ. Hello, ma'am. Good to see you. Yes, welcome all. Please, yeah, remember, hit the like button, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications for when I go live and upload videos. And yes, it does help the algorithm so that more people can get this very important information to bring awareness to these cases. Excellent. Miss PJ says, I'm listening, I'm here, but I'm in the bushes. I'll be commenting here and there. Make sure you behave. Watch out, echoes. Is PJ maybe putting you in timeout tonight? Yep, absolutely. Artie says 300 people, everyone knows everyone. Absolutely. Like I said, I live in a town of much bigger, although I can see it's small, barely 2,000 maybe. And you definitely know if you see a new face in town, you definitely know that they're not from around here. So yeah, everybody knows everybody. So that what kind of lends me to think, just my opinion, that possibly somebody that lived in that town, or somebody who may have lived, out here in this rural area like I live in. That you go down the road, 5 or 6 miles, there's another town. So it could have been anybody from a neighboring town, from that town, who visited where she lived. So it is just lots of possibilities, unfortunately. Oh, Miss PJ said they know the forgotten artist. Welcome, Patriotism is here. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you here. Good to see you. Oh, so the forgotten artist is being, if I could see the avatar, see if I can make it bigger. Is that JP? No, maybe not. I don't know. There's only 2 on here that I know of, that I know for sure that I subscribe to and know that are musicians, are JP and Tech Death Hippie. I don't think Tech Death Hippie has changed their name. Might not be JP. I don't know. I'm just guessing. You're always messing with me. There's Mustang. How you doing, ma'am? Good to see you. Always glad to have you here. There's Junior. He's in Kentucky this time. He's not in Michigan. Hello, sir. Good to have you here. Getting caught up, and then we'll get on to the... Oh, Doodle says she just hit Miss Barbara the bat signal. Excellent. The cow signal. All right. I think we are caught up. All right, let me get another quick drink. And if I don't push the wrong button and throw myself out. Yep, absolutely. Oh. Okay. Hey, Romero, good to see you. We are doing good. I hope you're doing well. All right. So next we have Carla Tucker. Make sure everything is loaded. Yes, everything's loaded. I shouldn't say it. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. So this is Carla. She was 14 years old at the time of her homicide. This is from Detroit, Michigan. I think we have 2 or 3 from Detroit tonight. And this is from 1979. So Carla was last seen in Detroit on June 19th, 1979. She left her home located on Elmwood Street to walk to a convenience store. Her brother saw her leave the store. She might have left after she left the store at some point, but she never returned home. Her mother reported her missing after she failed to return home. For years, her family hoped that she would be located and returned to them, obviously. They never stopped looking for her. And in August of 2014, they submitted DNA samples in case any to match to any remains, to any does. So on February 11th of 1992, the body of a teenage girl was found in the Matlin Road landfill in Carlton Township, Michigan. She was determined to be between 12 and 16 years old and was believed to have passed away in 1991 or 1992. The girl, she was a victim of a brutal homicide. She was SA'd, strangled to death, and she was left in a 55-gallon steel drum encased in concrete. So just horrible, horrific. So DNA testing identified her as Carla Tucker on February 11, 2015, exactly 23 years after she was found. Her offender has not been identified, and obviously her homicide remains unsolved. So just another. So someone went to even more trouble or more of an effort to conceal her identity, because if you're going to take somebody and encase them, and I know these, I apologize once again, trigger warning for anybody just coming in. I apologize for these, but I mean, if you encase somebody in a 55-gallon drum in concrete, that's something extra. That's extra. But anyway, so just horrible. Oh, let me get the number. So if you have any information regarding Carla's case, it's hot in here tonight again. The Detroit Police Department is the jurisdiction responsible for her case, and you can reach them at 313-596-1803. All right, so let me see what I had on Carla. Okay, so this article is from June of 2022. 40, and it's from clickondetroit.com. 43 years later, homicide of 14-year-old Detroit girl whose body was found in landfill remains unsolved. When 14-year-old Carla Tucker walked to a convenience store near her Detroit home, her family did not know it would be the last time that they would see her. And that was 43 years ago. Once again, it's been longer than that. It's coming up on almost 50 years. What, 47 years? Her brother Horace said back in 2015, said, I was looking out the window from where we lived, and I watched my sister go into a corner store where I could visibly see her. She came out of the store, she made a left turn and started walking, and she was out of sight, and we never saw her again. So just like that. Carla's sister Stephanie said, and once again in 2015, you never stop searching, you never move past this. You learn ways to just survive, and that's just what we did. But we want to live. If you've heard anything, anyone back then, any stories, anything that you believe were urban legends, if you see it now and you recall how we looked then and remember seeing her in school or high school or stories, please do not be afraid to call Crime Stoppers. Once again, Carla's body was discovered in the Matlin Road landfill. We went through all that. So the landfill was located, once again, 30 miles. So in Georgia's case, it was 30 miles. So the landfill where Carla was found was 30 miles from where she was last seen. So known only as Jane Doe, her remains went unidentified for 23 years. In August of 2014, her mother and sister submitted DNA after seeing a newscast about unclaimed bodies. And then on February 11th, 2015, the DNA results came through, and Carla finally regained her name. And that's so important. Even just getting their names back is just absolutely important. 35 years after she vanished. Her mother says, this has been a long, painful journey, and I just want to say that the person or persons that took the life of my daughter, you not only took the life of my daughter, but you killed my family. Just put it bluntly. She put it bluntly. So it's always hard reading the statements from these from the family members, but you guys know that have watched me for a while. I always try to find, with these cases, interview statements from the family, interview statements from law enforcement. Just anyway, I think that is the only one I had on Carla. All right. See what you guys have got. Oh, don't want to do that. Some more people may have popped in on me. I keep forgetting to mark where I left off at. Yeah, the Miss PJ said she was singing Eminem. Yeah, Deja Romero was always comes in with "I'm Back." Yeah, they're always, the song is going through my head now. You're not the only one, Miss PJ. Stop. Everything wants to. Miss PJ says she's bad at being the bushes. We're running her cover. That could be the case. Romero says that long ago, the suspect is most definitely not with us anymore. If so, they're in a nursing home. Possible. Yeah, because this was in 1979. Now, it depends. So, I'm bad at doing math. So, Carla was, how did I say? Hold on, let me tell it down so I can see. 14 years old. Somebody figure out how old she would be now if she was still alive. Because we don't know, it could have been somebody close to her age, because if that happens, or it could be somebody, an adult. But that's a very valid point, Romero. We just don't know. Hey, Miss Marion. She'll come up. There she is. How are you doing, ma'am? Good to see you. She says, hello, everyone. Sorry I haven't been on. I thank you all for doing the wonderful job for all the families and our loved ones. Oh, I got my grandkids, but just wanted to say thank you, Justice for All. Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Marion. Have fun with them grandbabies. Absolutely. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for all your support that you always give. Absolutely. Yeah, Detroit's definitely got a reputation. I've never been to Detroit. Maybe I might have. Maybe when we were kids, we did have one of my aunts and uncles and two of my cousins lived. Can't remember if they lived in Detroit or close to Detroit. I remember going up there one time. But yeah, Detroit definitely has a reputation, as do many other cities. Chris says he wasn't born in 1979. I was 8 years old. Well, you are babies. Chris Romero said he was born in 83. Miss PJ said she was born in 82. Oh, sorry. Let me put that there. You are babies. Make me feel old. Yes, definitely suspicious. Absolutely. I will check that out. Junior says Nevaeh Buchanan from Monroe, Michigan, which is Junior's hometown. Her homicide has never been solved. Hold on, let me grab something to write on. I'm trying to remember if I know I've read about that case, but I don't know if I've done a video. And of course, I can't reach any of my stuff here. Hold on. Hear me digging around. I'm trying to reach my notebook. Oh my goodness. Okay. Finally got it. Oh, that was a stylus I grabbed. Anyway, let me write that down. Nevaeh Buchanan. Find my list. My handy dandy little notebook. My Blue's Clues notebook here. Okay. I will definitely look at it again and do a video, do a live stream. Absolutely, Junior. Monroe, Michigan. Thank you, Junior. All right. Put that there, just in case we need it again. Oh, Mustang says, I will be 50 in 10 days. Well, happy early birthday. We'll have to have a birthday celebration live stream for you. Yeah, I passed 50 about 4 years ago. Hello, Miss Tabitha. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. She says, this case is heartbreaking. I'm so glad you're covering this case. Absolutely. Yeah. This is, like I said, not once again, not to be exploitative. Is that how you say that word? But yeah, anybody who would go so far as to, in case, no matter if it's a child or an adult or whoever, that would encase somebody, take the time to encase somebody in concrete in a 55-gallon drum. It's just, that's extra. That's something that's, you don't see a whole lot of. I mean, you hear about it obviously, but yeah, it's just, that's a little bit extra. But yeah, it is absolutely, all these cases are heartbreaking. Yep, that is true. Yeah, I misspell stuff all the time. Don't worry about it. Mitochondrial, I think I just spelled that right. DNA has solved a lot of crimes these days. I'm sure if there was a trace and resources, this could at least be solved, whether the man has passed or not, at least. Absolutely. I agree. I agree. We've been missing you too, Miss Tabitha. Good to see you here. Yep, absolutely. And that's all these families want, is just answers, closure, some, justice at the, would be the, most important thing, but, just anything. Arctic says he's almost 50 at this point. All that keeps me together is fixing and joint braces. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, please do check out all these other wonderful creators that are in here. Miss PJ, Arctic, Miss Paula, anybody, all our friends. You can check out, go to the main page of my channel, go down to visit our friends, and all the links are there. She was 14 when she passed away. Oh, are you talking about? I don't know who you're talking about. Junior said Nevaeh was only 5. Man, see, I think the youngest one we'll have tonight, I think, is 9 or 10. There is. Thank you, everybody, for putting in links. There's Miss PJ's channel. Oh yeah, Miss Doodle. Can't forget Miss Doodle. And Miss Paula. Thank you, everybody that's putting links in. Not that we know of, Miss Paula. Miss Paula wants to know if there's any suspects. Not that I saw, and I could not find. I think this was about the only article that wasn't behind a paywall. I found lots of good articles, but most of them were behind paywalls. But and most of the articles that because even when they throw you behind a paywall, they'll at least let you read the article once on some of them. But none of them that I saw mentioned any suspects. So Eminem and Ed Sheeran did something together. That's a weird combination. I'll listen to both of them, but some. I'll have to check that out. Junior says when he goes to Detroit, it's in and out quickly, mostly for concerts. Yeah, like I said, not calling out Detroit. Obviously, there are lots and lots of. I mean, heck, Little Rock, the closest big city that I live to here in Arkansas. It's they had what did they say on the news tonight? 2 or 3 homicides within the last. I think 3 homicides within the last 24 hours. And compared to some other cities, Little Rock is not that big as say a Detroit or but it's getting bad or has been bad everywhere. Oh, Miss PJ says she was behind for about a minute. Mel says that a 55-gallon drum encased in concrete would take at least 40 bags. Yeah, that's a lot of extra work to do for I don't understand. Just getting caught up, and we will move on. Hey, Frank Meister, good to see you, sir. I hope you're having a good evening. Always an honor to have you here. I saw that you had a live stream earlier. I will have to be replay crew, absolutely. But welcome. Anybody who has not already, please check out Mr. Frank Meister. Excellent channel. He says he turned 56 on July 4th. Well, happy belated birthday. So you're just 2 years older than me. I turned 54 in May this year. Hold on, just gotta take care of some. Let's just watch our comments, guys. We don't mean talking about OnlyFans and all that good stuff. That'll get us in trouble. Yes, once again, please do all the things. Yeah, let's just try to keep comments on topic. This is very important, serious stuff we're talking about here. Yeah, Mustang says Detroit was once a better place. Yeah, I think you could say that about all place everywhere used to be a better place just in general, but I know I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. Yep, Tabitha said, I can't remember where you're from, Miss Tabitha. Forgive me, but she says it's getting bananas here. Yeah, so it's okay to joke around, but just kind of, watch. Don't say anything that'll get me kicked off of here. Let's see. Tabitha says she's falling apart at 40. I think that's when I started falling apart. Yeah, things started going down here. Oh, that's right. You're in Arkansas, in Conway. Yeah, Conway. Yeah, Conway. I've been hearing Conway a lot more on the news too. Absolutely. Mustang says Tulsa and OKC were once better places too. Yep. Like I said, it's everywhere. All right. Oh, I can turn my camera back on. Let's see who we got next. This is Jessica Lee Sterling Hatch. Come on, there we go. Get her information. Oh, Miss Tabitha says she's on her 4th back surgery. Sorry to hear that. Thoughts, prayers, and good vibes coming your way, Miss Tabitha. Back problems are no joke. And I don't even have back problems that would qualify for surgery. Not that I wouldn't want to have surgery, but yeah, just for years of lifting stuff. And I worked at Walmart when I first almost 3 years I worked there, I unloaded trucks. Of course, that was like 30. I was 30 years younger then, but yeah. Working 15 years in retail, it messes your back up, it messes your feet up, it messes everything up. But anyway, all right, so this is Jessica Hatch. And this is from Richmond, Virginia. And Jessica was just 12 years old at the time of her homicide. So Jessica was last seen in Richmond, Virginia on February 5th, 1984. She left her family's home located on Hanover Avenue just before 6 p.m. to walk 10 blocks to her grandmother's house, which was located in the 2900 block of West Grace Street. Jessica called her grandmother's house before leaving her home. Her uncle answered the phone, and Jessica told him that she would be there in a few minutes. However, Jessica never arrived at her grandmother's house, and she failed to return home that evening. So police suspect that she was abducted by someone somewhere along the path from where she left her home to her grandmother's house. Despite extensive searches and a reward being offered, no trace of Jessica was found for over 2 months. But on April 12th of 1984, the partial skeletal remains of a young girl were discovered in rural Hanover County, Virginia. The remains had apparently been left in a wooded area along Route 721, which is now known as Watkins Road. The area was approximately 1 mile north of Dogwood Trail Road in Rockville, Virginia. And I don't know if it says how far this was away from where she was last seen, or between her house and her grandma's house. So someone who lived in a mobile home, trigger warning once again, someone who lived in a mobile home had dogs who brought some of the remains to the house, to the residence, out of the woods. They were found by a resident at around 1 p.m. 5 days later, the remains were positively identified as belonging to Jessica. Police believe that she was abducted and her life was taken on the day that she went missing, which, statistically speaking, that's usually the case when you have a non-family abduction of a child. They are usually taken, or they're not here anymore within usually 24 hours, I think, is what the statistics are. So, so the location she was found was 12 miles away from where she had been taken. It says a suspect was identified early on, but due to lack of evidence, no charges were filed in connection to Jessica's death, and to date, it remains unsolved. So in this one, at least they do have they did at the time have a suspect. So the Hanover County Sheriff's Office is the jurisdiction that is responsible for Jessica's case. Take 1 second for there it is. So you can reach them at 804-365-6110. Let me see what I had on Jessica. All right, get a quick drink right quick before I start reading it again. This is from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Oh, and it just threw it behind a paywall. Dang it. Man, I hate it when it does that. I think that's the only article I had from her. Man, these paywalls make me mad. Almost cussed. Make me mad. Let me see if I can find anything else. Because that's the only one. Let me see if I can find something that wasn't behind a paywall. See, they tease you. They'll let you read it once or twice, and then you go to it again, and it throws you behind the paywall. Give me 1 second. I think I spelled that wrong, but I'm looking, see if I can find anything else. Let me correct the spelling. Maybe that might help. I think this is just, that was just the, man, I hate it when it does that. See if Web Sleuth has anything. Um, so Web Sleuth has some clips from some articles that I can probably read. Maybe let me read this one. Okay. This one, once again, from richmond.com. It's from February of 2016. Maybe this is the one I was going to read in the first place. Okay. Okay. So it says it was supposed to be an easy 10 or 15-minute amble at dusk along 9 mostly residential blocks for a dinner of cabbage and potatoes at her grandmother's house. The meal was one of Jessica Hatch's favorites, preferring it to the hot dogs that her mother Ellen was cooking that night. But the 12-year-old never arrived, and precisely what happened 32 years ago in the 20-minute once again, let's just read part of it, and then it puts the paywall up. I just read the clipping of it. But the 12-year-old never arrived. Precisely what happened in the 20 minutes or half hour between the time she set out and when her uncle went looking for her remains unsolved, tormenting her family and community. Authorities have never charged anyone in Jessica's death, but in recent years, investigators with the Hanover Sheriff's Department have leveraged modern science to find new evidence for the case that they hope will bring them ever closer to finding the offender. Someone also posted, "This lovely child is my maternal first cousin. Our family has grieved and wondered and suffered for 32 long years. I'm grateful for the recent news articles and for the new thread on the forum. I really hope that given today's technology and social media outreach, someone will come forward. Surely there are people out there who know what happened to Jessica. May their hearts be softened in favor of the truth so that this case will finally see justice." Absolutely. That is why we do this, even though it's hard. Even though it's hard, they deserve justice, awareness, keep their names out there so they're never forgotten. Anyway, just reading through to see if there's any more comments or articles. And I'm trying to remember if it was this case. There was another article that I'd found. I think it was this case, Jessica's case. That, and there's once again that article that I was going to read that mentioned because there was some talk that some kind of a ritualistic thing may have taken place. I had to be careful what I say in her case because the article that I was going to read, the parents of a girl, I believe, that Jessica was friends with or knew the family, were in their home, was searched for some reason, and they did find, the law enforcement did find evidence of these kind of ritualistic things going on. So from what I gather, law enforcement is divided on that aspect of it. Some say, yeah, it could be, and some say no. But it's just, regardless, it's just absolutely horrifying. All right, let me check your comments right quick, and then we'll get to the next one. Get down to where I left off here. Yep, sending prayers to everybody that's going through anything. Absolutely. Just getting seeing, make sure I haven't missed anything. Miss PJ says she's loopy. Oh yeah, I understand. You're welcome, Miss Tabitha. Yep, PJ says prayers to this baby, hoping answers come soon. Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Paula. Thank you, Junior. Thank you for being here, sir. I know you stayed up late, didn't you? It's always good to have Junior here. Um, yep, absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Check out Arctic. All right. Well, since they'll be behind the paywall, we'll see. I think this is the youngest one, 9 years old. This is little Mei-Ling White. I should have had it loading. 1 second. There it is. Okay. So I think this is the youngest one that we had tonight. Have tonight. So this is from Troy in New York from July of 1989. So the year I graduated. So little Mei-Ling was last seen in Troy, New York at around 7 a.m. on July 21st, 1989. Accounts differ as to how exactly she disappeared. Some news reports from 1989 state that she was collecting returnable bottles, the glass bottles that you used to could return and get money for. And back when we were kids, we the aluminum cans you could we saved all our aluminum soda cans and crushed them, and then you could take them and get money for them. So some reports say that she was collecting returnable bottles in her neighborhood and that she was last seen walking back to her residence at the Phelan Court Apartments by a neighbor while carrying these bottles. But recent news coverage of the case states that an eyewitness saw Mei-Ling playing with 2 children at the foot of Thompson Street near Winslow Avenue. So these 2 children have not been identified, but they were described as being between 8 to 10 years old in 1989. The witness said that a third person, a teenage boy who was believed to be about 15 years old, walked over and joined the 3 younger children as they played. So joined Mei-Ling and the 8-year-old and the 10-year-old. And that eventually the 2 unidentified children, the 8 and the 10-year-old, left to presumably go home. Or to play elsewhere, leaving Mei-Ling and the teenage boy alone on Winslow Avenue. So Mei-Ling never returned home that day. She was reported missing quickly afterward. 15 detectives from the Troy Police Department spent the next few days scouring the area for any clues. On July 24th of 89, they found a piece of clothing that Mei-Ling was wearing when she disappeared. So on July 25th of 1989, Mei-Ling's partially clothed body was discovered on a hillside just 300 yards away from her apartment complex at around 10:30 a.m. The medical examiner determined that she had been SA'd and her life was taken due to asphyxiation. So apparently convicted child serial offender Louis Lent was looked at in connection with Mei-Ling's homicide, but no evidence was found to suggest that he was involved. Police also questioned a 14-year-old boy about Mei-Ling's case, but further information about him is unavailable. There was also witness reports of unidentified white men in three vans trying to talk to young girls in Mei-Ling's neighborhood on the day that she disappeared. But to date, no suspects have been publicly identified in Mei-Ling's homicide. So just looking at that little face up there, So the Troy City, New York Police Department is the jurisdiction. Let me get their phone number. So you can reach them if you have any information regarding Mei-Ling's case. You can reach them at 518-270-4421. Let me see. I think I had a couple of articles. Drink. It's hot. So this one is from timesunion.com. Once again, everything I use is linked in the description box, all the articles. This is about from July of 2017. Murder, unalived Troy child laid to rest. Get down to the story. So as a large coffin holding the tiny body of their daughter was lifted down the center aisle at Holy Trinity Church, Stephen White, father of homicide victim Mei-Ling White, burst into tears, while the girl's mother to it wailed uncontrollably. I can't. Oh, breaks my heart. Sorry, ads are popping up. So 8 days after Mei-Ling's body was found, she was mourned in the same church she visited on Christmas Eve to observe a nativity scene at the altar. Reverend Frank Mullen said, "I wish I had the ability to convince Mei-Ling's mom, her dad, and her sisters that Mei-Ling did not pass away alone. In faith, we know that she passed away with her guardian angel, and her guardian angel led her through the portals of heaven." See if it had a couple of statements from her parents. Pastor Mullen recalled that Stephen White brought Mei-Ling and her younger sister to church on Christmas Eve to view the nativity scene. He said, "I saw their sparkling bright eyes. I looked at the smile on their faces, and put it all together. Said, this has to be an act of faith." White, his mother, sobbed loudly for much of the service. Stephen, the father, let the tears streaming down his cheeks. Outside the church, a Troy police officer investigating the unsolved homicide used a portable video camera to film those who emerged from the aging wooden structure, many who proceeded to St. Joseph Cemetery for burial service. So this is not sorry. StreamYard pooped out on my kick me out. All right, just let me know if you can. If I'm back. Let me know if y'all can see me and hear me. Hold on, let me make sure my mic did the. Okay. Anyway, back to what I was reading. Yes. Now. Oh, is Doodle leaving or who? Okay, hold on. Let's see what I missed when it kicked me out. Well, let me finish reading this article first. What I was saying was, it's not uncommon for police. I know back in the day, maybe today too, or they used to. Maybe not so much these days with all the cameras that are everywhere now, but back in the 70s, 80s, olden days when they didn't have cameras everywhere, it was not uncommon for law enforcement to do that. When they had the funeral of a homicide victim, they would go and watch, take pictures, get license plates, because sometimes the offender will go to the funeral. So So basically, that was the gist of the article, is that her funeral, and then I have one more. So I can hear and see me, okay, right? Okay, this is hopefully come up. Of course, it's going to take its sweet time. There it goes. Okay, hopefully. Hopefully, it won't put me behind the paywall. So this is from July of 2017. Troy detectives reopen 28-year-old case of 9-year-old child's homicide. Two people now, and I think this is about the two witnesses, the 8 and 10-year-old, that they're looking for to get information from, to see if they have any information. So two people now in their 30s may be the critical piece to solving a 28-year-old homicide cold case of a 9-year-old girl, city police said. The city's detective bureau is reviewing the homicide of Mei-Ling White, who was missing on July 21st, 1989 from her Phelan Court Apartments residence and found deceased on July 25th, 1989 in a wooded area near the apartments. Captain, let me get rid of some ads. Captain Daniel DeWolf, who is the department spokesman, said, "We want people to think back. We think these individuals could be the key." Troy police put out a call for the public's assistance since Friday. What did I say? This was 2017. Was the 28th anniversary of Mei-Ling's disappearance. The two people that have never been identified would have been children at the time of Mei-Ling's disappearance and homicide. They were seen by a witness with Mei-Ling the morning that she disappeared. Mei-Ling and the two children spotted at the foot of Thompson Street near Winslow Avenue. The two children would have been around 8 years to 10 years old. Police summary of what they know. They said the eyewitness then saw a third youth join with Mei-Ling and the two unknown children. The third youth was described as a white male of 14 to 15 years old. The eyewitness further reported that the first two children left, and Mei-Ling and the third youth were alone on Winslow Avenue, not far from where she was eventually located 4 days later. Police went on to say that these two children would potentially be in their late 30s. The Troy police kicked me out again. Hold on, let me get my. Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. Telling you, I shouldn't have said anything. Get the right slideshow back up. Okay, my goodness. Once again, it would not be one of my live streams without a dumpster fire going on. Okay. See if I can make it through this article before it kicks me out again. Oh, okay. So, where are we at? Okay. If I turn off my camera, maybe sometimes that helps. Oh, I don't want to do that. There we go. Hold on 1 second. And I'll check your comments again. All right, article's back up. Let me find where I was at. As I said, today these two children would potentially be in their late 30s. The Troy Police Department detectives are pleading with these two individuals to finally come forward, speak to the police out that morning. These two individuals are likely the most important witnesses in this ongoing investigation. Anyone who may have heard the children then or now as adults also is asked to contact police. The calls to Detective Sergeant Adam Mason at 518-270-4657 or Detective Mark Mason at 518, once again, 518-270-4455. All right. At least it let me finish the article. All right, let me get caught up in your comments before it kicks me out again. There we go. Okay, there's where I was at. Thank you, Miss PJ and Arctic. Everybody putting in everybody's links. Absolutely. Yep, we were talking about how Mei-Ling could have or was collecting bottles. Artist says, I remember before 2 liters, you could get 1 liters and return the empty bottles for money. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Listen, when we were growing up, I don't remember so much the glass bottles, but yeah, definitely the aluminum cans. We would smash them with a shovel. Here out here on the farm here, smash them with a shovel and put them in a garbage bag, and then my grandparents would take us somewhere in Little Rock and get some money, and then we'd usually use that money to go out and eat, or depending on how much money they got, go out to eat or get some ice cream or something with them. So, oh, dadgummit, nothing's working. Anyway, Miss PJ says, I'm from an era I have to Google what a liter is. Yeah, 1 liter. I think they still make 1 liters. You can find them sometimes around here. I read books. I love to read. It's one of my favorite things to do when I'm not doing this. Yep. Yep. I've heard that also. Romero says they say the mind remembers by repeating a term out loud, even quietly 10 times to have it remembered always, while reading is important. Absolutely. And don't they say you do something so many times in a row and a habit becomes a routine or something? I know I'm totally messed that up. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Oh, is Doodle leaving? Who's leaving? Thank you, Miss Doodle. Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Just getting caught up, and then we'll get going again before it decides to kick me out. Thank you, Miss Tabitha. Oh, there's skits. Hello, friend. Good to see you. There's Miss Miranda. Hello, lovely. Good to see you, my dear. Um, getting caught up, and we will get back to business here. Okay. So there. All right. Oh, so next we have Bina Emery. Get her. Where is she? Where is she? There she is. For it to come up. Bina was just 14 years old. This is from another one from Detroit from February of 1988. So I think what the oldest one we've had tonight was 1979. Right. So Bina was last seen. Bina or Bina. I don't know if I'm pronouncing which way is the correct way to pronounce it. I apologize. Was last seen in Detroit on February 23rd, 1988. She left her father's home and went to her mother's house. Her mother was at work, and the only person home was her mother's male roommate. Bina had written a 3-page note and asked the roommate to give it to her mother. The roommate said that he refused. Bina became angry because he wouldn't give the note to her mother. She then left her mother's house and said that she was going to go somewhere with friends. She reportedly took the note with her. She never returned to her father's house, and no one saw her again. Initially, she was suspected to be a runaway. Surprise, surprise. On July 22nd of 1988, some people were picnicking at the Chestnut Grove picnic area in Willow Metropolitan Park in Huron Township, Michigan, when they discovered a body floating in the Huron River. The area was in southern Wayne County. Excuse me. The body was initially believed to be that of a young woman in her late teens or early 20s. Autopsy reports suggest that she had been beaten and strangled. On April 10th of 2015, DNA testing officially identified the remains as belonging to Bina Emery, and her case is once again unsolved. Just another. Okay, so the Detroit Police Department. Let me get their number. Hey, Miss Barbara, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Once again. So you can contact the Detroit Police Department if you have any information on Bina's case at 313-596-1803. All right, quickly see what I've got for, I think the only other article I have, and this kind of not really ties together, but talking about the DNA helping solve Bina's case and the Carla Tucker's case, one of the ones we talked about earlier. And this is from the DetroitNews.com. Is from April of 2015. Two Detroit missing persons cases, one nearly 4 decades old, have been solved through DNA testing. The Michigan State Police said its missing persons coordination unit was able to make the matches recently, as of 2015, so 10 years ago, between the unidentified remains and surviving family members. Both cases involved 14-year-old girls who disappeared in Detroit, but there is no connection between the cases, according to police. In the first case, Carla Tucker was identified in February after last being seen in 1979, walking to a grocery store. Sergeant Sarah Krebs of the Missing Persons Unit said in a press release that Carla's family came to the Michigan State Police last year, hoping to find out what happened to her. DNA was collected from biological family members and submitted to the Detroit Police Department. At about the same time, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department wanted to try again to solve a 1992 case in which the body of a young female was found encased in a 55-gallon drum in a landfill in Carlton. The drum came from Detroit, police say, and it was determined the female was a victim of a homicide. A Monroe Sheriff's detective submitted DNA samples from the body, and the University of North Texas Human Identification Lab compared the samples to some from Carla's family, and that's how they found the match. The Detroit Police Homicide Unit is investigating the case. Once again, tips can be sent to Detective Michael Russell at 313-596-2284. In the second case, Michigan State Police, Detroit Police, the FBI, and NCMEC exhumed several unidentified bodies that had been buried decades ago in what they call paupers' graves at United Memorial Cemetery in Plymouth, according to law enforcement. After testing DNA, one of the bodies was identified as Bina Emery, who disappeared in February 1988 in Detroit. Her remains had originally been found in July 1988 in the Detroit River, and her COD was listed as undetermined. So Bina's mother said last year, so it had been 2014, attended a state police missing persons event at the University of Michigan Flint and provided DNA, which police used to match with Bina's remains. The state at that time, the state police scheduled a free Missing in Michigan DNA collection event. So I don't know if they're still doing these events. Hopefully they are, because unfortunately we all know there are still so many Jane Does and John Does out there that have not been identified. So I think that was the only other article I had. All right. I think we got 2 more cases to go through, and in these last 2, I was not able to find any additional information aside from what was on solvethecase.org. Get caught up again. You're fine, Miss Barbara. Good to see you, ma'am, once again. Oh, Frank Meister's back. Now the Eminem song is going to be going through my head again. Romero's going to be singing it. Yeah, absolutely. We want to see Skits do some more lives. Okay. So we'll get through our last, if I can push the right buttons. All right, so next we have Mona Lisa Espinoza. Get down to her. I push the right now. I think oh, there it is. Okay. So Mona Lisa was 15 years old. This is from Houston, Texas, from February of 1989. So Mona Lisa was last seen at her mother's house in Houston, Texas on February 25th, 1989. A neighbor saw her leaving the house located on Irvington Boulevard with a man who had introduced himself as Mike. They have it in quotes. The man drove a compact yellow car and began speeding away as Mona Lisa was still getting into the vehicle. She has never been seen or heard from again. It was originally believed that she might have left home on her own accord. She had previously run away from home and was gone for a week. However, it is now believed Mona Lisa was forced into that vehicle against her will and was abducted by a stranger. No one in her family knew of anyone named Mike, and she remained missing for nearly 15 years. Those 15 years, the one we had earlier was 35 years before she was identified. I just can't imagine what my heart goes out to these families who have to wait. I mean, one day is too long, but have to wait for years and years and years just to be, and I don't want to sound crass saying this, but they're the lucky ones if their loved ones are found and identified. A lot or unfortunately never found. So on December 9th of 1991, the skeletal remains of a young woman were discovered in a wooded area behind an auto shop located on Addicts Satuma Road in Houston. Due to the state of the remains, no COD could be determined. In December of 2001, the remains were identified as belonging to Mona Lisa. It is strongly believed that Mona Lisa was abducted and was the victim of a homicide, and her death remains unsolved. So unfortunately, that is all the information, but it's better than nothing. So the Houston, Texas Police Department is the jurisdiction. So let me get their number. So if you have any information on Mona Lisa's case, you can call 713-308-1600. I'll get the other one load. My fingers are working faster than my brain right now. Okay. Chris says, Houston, Texas has tons of cases. Oh, yeah. Yeah, on these unsolved, we may start doing, because like I said, at the beginning, I think I'm going to try to do these unsolved live streams, maybe at least once a month, maybe twice, depending on what's, going on, what we got going on as far as other cases and missing persons go. But we may just, like we do on our Missing Person Monday, we've been going state by state. I'll just go through solvethecase.org and gather about 5 or 6 cases from each state, and share those for the unsolved homicides, just like for the missing persons, because there's just so many. All right, the last one we have is Avis Mincy. She was just 11 years old. Another one, the third one tonight, right, from Detroit, from February of 1981. So Avis was last seen in Detroit on February 27th, 1981. She left her residence located in the 3200 block of Ping Tree Street at around 4 p.m. She never returned. Her mother reported her missing at around 10:15 p.m. that night, and believed that she might have been staying away from home due to losing her glasses. So her mother said that Avis might have been afraid that she was going to get in trouble for losing her glasses, so she just didn't come home. And she was afraid she would be punished as a result of losing her glasses. Police said in news reports that Avis was a chronic runaway. There were reports that Avis had been seen in her neighborhood in early March of 1981 after she had been reported missing. Don't know if those were absolutely confirmed. On May 5th of 1981, 2 men were cleaning out a garage behind a house located in the 4000 block of Columbus Street. Inside the garage was a car that had been stored there for around 5 years. Upon opening one of the doors of the car, the 2 men discovered the remains of a young girl. The house was occupied by 2 women who were sisters and 8 children at the time. The father of the 2 women previously owned the property until his death in January of 1981. So the house was vacant. Nobody was there when Avis went missing. It is believed that she was in the car before these 2 sisters and the father and all the children moved in. The two women said they heard no noises coming from the garage, nothing suspicious. Due to the state of the remains, no exact COD could be determined. So just another horrible case. So they, just to be clear, they don't suspect the father, or this is what is stated, they don't suspect the father that had lived there previously. The 2 women who the father had lived there previously were living there with eight children between them. They are assuming they said they are not considered suspects. So interesting at any rate. Right, so unfortunately, like I said, that is all the information I could find on Avis. See what you guys have got. Absolutely. You must have read my mind, or I read your mind before I saw that comment. Chris said, can we do like certain states or areas on unsolved homicide cases? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm thinking maybe, like I said, we just start doing it, do like once a month or twice a month, at least once a month. Just start alphabetically, I guess, with the states and just do, 5 or 6 cases or how many ever, just like we do for the missing person Monday, and we'll cover all the states. Absolutely. Which case? Chris says, I can think of a case that fits this topic. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Justice for Timmy Dees. All right. Like I said, I think that is the last one we had. Oh, I forgot. A couple of things I was going to mention. The most important, I was going to mention it at the beginning, but if I'm what I'm looking for here. As far as I know, we have a silver alert here in Arkansas, unless in the last couple of hours he has been found. This is from Mayflower, Arkansas. A search is currently underway for a missing 72-year-old Mayflower man who was last seen on July 16th. So that was what, yesterday? Was today's the 17th? Yeah, yesterday. The Faulkner County Sheriff's Office and Faulkner County Office of Emergency Management are currently assisting the Mayflower Police in searching for 72-year-old Lewis Stephen Gilbreth. There's currently an active silver alert for Mr. Gilbreth, who was last seen on July 16th around 2 p.m. on Main Street. He was last seen wearing a red shirt, black pants, and black tennis shoes. Authorities are currently asking residents to check security cameras for any potential footage that could lead to the discovery of Mr. Gilbreth, and those with information on his whereabouts are encouraged to contact the Mayflower Police. I think I accidentally cut off the number. You can always call if you're in the Mayflower area or have seen Mr. Gilbreth. Call 911. Absolutely. So, like I said, unless in the last couple of hours he's been found, that silver alert is still active. And the other thing I wanted to mention, for anybody that's interested in the Jody Huisentruit case, I know we've talked about it a lot here. Dave, Al on the Proud has talked about it a lot. If you have Hulu, there's a new series called Her Last Broadcast, The Abduction of Jody Huisentruit. Started yesterday or the day before. I guess it'll be the day before. On Hulu. So I'm definitely going to be watching that because Hulu is one that I do have. So at any rate, of course, we still have, I always want to bring attention to, no, sorry, pushing too many buttons. Jamie Valdez, still bringing attention to Jamie's case always. Saw Miss Sean had posted on Facebook some stuff. There's a group. I don't know if somebody, I don't know if I have it saved in my computer web browser. There is a Facebook group. Let me see if I can find it right quick. Give me 1 second. Oh, dadgummit. I closed out the tab instead of there it is. Okay. I was trying to find the right tab I was looking for. Let me see if I can find the link to the Facebook group for anybody. Somebody can probably put it in, find it and put it in before. See if I can find the link. Oh, I'm also going to put in the link. This first link is the link to the Timmy's Legacy Facebook group, because somebody from that group posted. What did I do? Oh man, I just shut out StreamYard. Oh jeez. Oh no, there it is. Okay. I thought I shut everything down. It's smaller. Oh man, now I can't see my chat. Why are you not working? Oh goodness. Oh, there it is. Okay. Man, I'm losing my mind. All right, there's the link to Timmy's Legacy. I'm trying to find the link to Jamie's Facebook group. It's called Find Jamie Valdez. Well, of course, it's not coming up. One second. Oh, there it is. Okay, I found it. Okay. Once again, I have the wrong. All right, there is the link to Jamie Valdez. Let me get the right picture back up here. The link to Jamie's Facebook group. So please do check it out. All right, get back into comments. All right. All right, let me make a last check your comments. If you guys got anything else, we will get out of here for the night and get caught up. Thank you. Thank you, Mustang. Always good to have you here. Chris says, when you do Utah, I know about a case that is unsolved. Absolutely. Messenger it to me. I will take a look at it. Thank you, Miss Barbara. Says, thank you, Southern Gal Mods. Have a great weekend. You too, Miss Barb. Try to stay cool. Okay, Chris says, look up Rosie Tapia. Right, let me write it down. Add it to my list. Rosie Tapia. And this is this the one from Utah? Okay. I've got it written down. You're most welcome, Miss Paula. Please do check out Miss Paula. If you need she's such a bright, shining light. If you need something uplifting, Miss Paula always has it. You are more than welcome, Miss Barbara. And do check out, if somebody can throw in the link, I don't know if anybody's still here, check out Timmy's Legacy. Also has a YouTube channel. Just search Timmy's Legacy. You will find it. I think I have it. If I don't have it listed in on my page, I will add it. Yep, it's Miss Barbara says it'll be 3 years that Timmy was found. Yep, I'm gonna have to do another Miss Barbara. I might have to, whenever you feel up to it, when and if, might have to have you on here. Hopefully my StreamYard won't get kicked off. StreamYard won't go kaput on me, and just talk about whatever you want to talk about with Timmy's case or whatever. Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. So thank you, everybody that was here in chat. Thank you, everybody watching Replay Crew. We love our Replay Crew. So I'm multitasking here. Thank Thank you to all my members, all my subscribers. Thank you to everybody, all the other wonderful creators who are in here tonight. Frank Meister, Miss Doodle, Miss PJ, Miss Barb, Arctic. I'm going to try not to forget anybody. All our friends, all our friends. Thank you. Thank them also for all their support that they continually give. We got to support each other. Once again, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're watching replay, leave a comment below. Most important thing you can do is share it. Share. All of that's the most important thing all of us can do with any missing posters, videos, live streams, anything to do with missing persons, unsolved cases. Share it to whatever social media platforms you're on, to help bring awareness, keep their names and faces out there so that they are never forgotten. So since we talked about, I know this one was, for me, I know for everybody, it was kind of hard to get through because we were talking about little ones tonight. But once again, nobody deserves to be forgotten. These cases need closure. Families, victims need justice and closure. So we'll leave you, as always, or as I have been doing, on a little lighter note with some fur babies. So Monday we'll be back with our Missing Person Monday live stream. I'm gonna try to get this weekend or the next couple of days get some new videos recorded to upload this coming week for you guys. So until everybody have a good weekend. Stay safe out there. Take care of each other. Be kind. Just be kind. Just be a good human being. That's all. That's all I ask. I think that's all anybody asks. Just be a good human being, which most of you fine people are. Absolutely. This is a wonderful community. So, barring any problems with my farm signal or anything coming up, I will see you guys Monday night. Thanks, guys.